خلاص جاهز يا دكتور إبراهيم.
ها بدأت.
아닙니다. 아닙니다. 있을 그 정도. 어디 좋아져? 좋아. Cik pun tak ada apa-apa sekarang. Cik lagi setengah jam je. Dia aku
没有啊，3月7号开始不是？哦。
منور يا أستاذ حسن.
شكو. شكو. Ada ni Zoom ni.
هو دوم يكلم
شباب لو سمحتم اعملوا ميوت لكل الأصوات.
Hello.
Marhaba.
Okay. Hi, Dr. Shim. Hello.
Hi. How are you? Good?
Assalamualaikum Dr. Hashim.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes. Just a minute, yeah.
Unmute. Wait a second. So let's choose this. All right. So can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Yes, yes. Can hear you.
Is it clear?
Yes. 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 Can.
Well, I think there is a group of people who are
Okay.
unmuted.
Hello.
Yes. Hi. Can you hear me?
Okay. Can hear you clearly.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't hear you clearly. Perhaps you can get closer to the mic. Hmm. right. So I'm ready when you are ready. So yeah, you can give me the signal when you are ready.
Hello, Doctor. Can we start now? You can hear me? Sorry for the technical issue. Okay, yeah, sure, no problem. All right, okay, sure. Okay, Doctor, all emails done. Okay, Assalamualaikum and good day, everyone. I will start the session now. Okay, Assalamualaikum and good day, everyone. My partner and I, just a moment. Sorry for the technical issue. Okay, I got some problem. Okay, sorry for the technical. Assalamualaikum and good day, everyone. My partner and I will be the moderator for this feature of education session. My name is Saida Nafisa, first line. So on behalf of the organizer, I would like to extend a very warm welcome to all of you and thank you for joining us today. So big thanks to Mr. Muhammad Ibrahim, the president of the MPRC UTHM, for introducing the speaker today's session. Okay, so as to pray for blessing today's gathering, let us recite Umul Kitab Al-Fatihah, and for the non-Muslim kindly meditate for a moment. Okay, before I start, now I have a few housekeeping notes to make before we begin today's program. I would like to seek your cooperation in this session. First, kindly switch off microphone during the session to avoid any interruption. And for your information, we will open Q&A session after end of the talk. So if you have any question, you can type on Facebook, YouTube, as well, and the Zoom also, the Zoom chat. We will read the question for you. And then for the secondly, towards the end of the session, the organizer will share the feedback link for this program. And the certificate will be provided only for those who completing the feedback. We will open the link for 30 minutes only. Thank you for kind cooperation and attention. So without further ado, my partner Vicky will brief a little bit about our speaker tonight. Vicky?
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Aida, and thank you, Dr. Hashim. Assalamualaikum, and we welcome you all. And it's a great pleasure to see you. We are the huge fan of your science. Being a science communicator, we are very huge fan of yours. Every day we are being like communicating with you from your videos that you are going to generate. So let me introduce with our speaker today. So Dr. Hashim Gihali is actually from Yemen. He was born in Yemen, and he is a science lover, a nature lover, and he is completed his bachelor degree from from Peshawar University, Pakistan, to Yemen, and did his job in a government organization as a quality control. And later on, he was being awarded with the scholarship from Jacob University, and he's completed his master's degree from Jacob University in molecular biotechnology. He was proven to solve some complex scientific problem, to simplify the science, to understand in terms of fun, so that it will be quite easy for everyone to love the nature, love the science. And he started sharing the videos and got 1 million of views in a like couple of weeks. And now he is having a 23 million followers on Facebook. And Dr. Hashim mission is to make science easy and fun to learn. So without wasting our time, I would like to ask our speaker today to please, this is his floor, and continue with the session today. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I hope that everybody can hear me without any problems. I'd like to share the screen. Wait a second. Yes, that is the screen. All right. Welcome, everybody, and thank you for having me. So today we're going to talk about the future of education. You might have been asking yourself quite many times, did you get quality education? Or could it have been better? Yeah, it's a question that I have asked myself very often as well. And this stems from something that I did when I finished my master's. So I finished my master's at Jacobs University in Bremen, and I started my PhD. And so I was working in the lab doing my PhD. And after 3 months, I decided that I don't want to continue doing my PhD. Instead, I want to pursue science communication. So I asked myself, why did it take too long for me to realize what I really want to do? It would have been more helpful if I knew this earlier, so that I would have improved my skills, so that I had have worked on that early on. And this is a problem that a lot of students suffer from. They don't know what they want to do. They only realize it later on, after they have studied and spent time and years doing something else. And so that might have to be a problem with education itself. So I communicate science on social media. Now, I could have done a PhD, but that would mean I would be working in the lab most of the time. And we need a lot of science communicators. So I decided to be a science communicator, a little bit deviation from what I actually studied. I mean, I studied science and I got my degree in molecular biotechnology, but I wanted to do something more. So I started communicating science on social media, which is not something that I studied. Now, if I knew that I want to become a science communicator, on top of that, I would have studied and prepared myself to be a science communicator, to learn even new skills that would be helpful. So on my Facebook page, I asked a question, which was, do you think the education system in your country needs serious reforms? And so around 74,000 people almost answered this, and 95% said yes, their education system, or the education system in their countries, requires some reforms, because they're not satisfied with it. They're not happy with the way it's done. And yeah, it needs to be fixed. So if you take a look at all these people, what do you see in common with them? You know, what do they have in common? They're all college dropouts. Yeah, they left the university or college at some point, and they pursued their interests. And what did they accomplish? They built companies that changed the world. Yeah, Microsoft, Apple, Facebook. So this means that the first problem with education that we have is that it doesn't really care much about your interest. And instead, you are being fed with subjects that, you know, are predetermined, and you have to follow a curriculum which really isn't effective. Now, what these people did is that they actually decided to drop out of college, and they combined their forces with people who shared the same interests with them, and they ended up being very successful, and they changed the world. So the first problem that we have with education right now is that it doesn't really care about interest, and interest matters. You know, if we're just feeding students with information, bombarding them with whatever the curriculum says, it just doesn't really make any sense. Now, the second problem with education is that it relies on textbooks. It relies heavily on textbooks, and we all know what the problems with textbooks are. The first problem is that they are printed every what? 40 years, probably. So within 40 years, knowledge, regardless of where it comes from, it could be science, economy, business, technology, all of that, it's always evolving. And so when you're relying on a textbook that has to be printed every 40 years, then you are missing on a lot of details. And this isn't dynamic. And you can't really expect every student to go outside the textbook and try to learn more details about their field. So textbooks are actually a problem. Now, the other problem with textbooks is that the price for textbooks has increased a lot. Now we're talking about the US, for example. It's actually now more expensive than healthcare and housing. Yeah, to pay for textbooks. That makes education expensive. Not to mention, you're printing a lot of papers, and this is an issue actually. So textbooks could stay, but they would need to be complemented with other solutions, which we will talk about later. Another issue with education right now is that we rely on classes. All right, you've got class 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah, until 12 normally. And of course, if we talk about the education system in Yemen, for example, primary school, high school, yeah, and secondary. And so we have a problem with this kind of system, because there are students who are in class 4, but they are smart enough to be in class 7. Then there are students who are in class 8, but they're not smart enough to be in that class. So when we say, oh, let's group students based on which class they are studying in, and the class you are studying in will determine what level of intelligence you have, that's just not a system that should really be in place. Classes do not really reflect intelligence. Another problem with the current education system is that there are a lot of tests, and tests are a burden. I don't know how many of you like tests, but I personally don't like tests. Why? Well, let me tell you something. First of all, you might study very hard for the test, and when you are there during the test, you're stressed and you forget what you studied. Yeah, or you are under some strict conditions where you are nervous, and that doesn't really reflect your intelligence. You know what Albert Einstein said? Albert Einstein said, never memorize something you can look up. Yeah, if you can search for it, if you can find it right away, why should you memorize it? And most of the tests that we have today, they rely on memorizing. They do not rely on, analyzing your critical skills. Sometimes some students, they just spend the entire year playing around, and when it comes to the test, they have 10 days or 15 days, they prepare themselves and they pass because they studied only for the test. So the test is really not a way to measure anyone's intelligence. And so if we summarize all the problems that we have with education right now, as we said, the first problem is that it doesn't really rely on interests. Then we have textbooks that are not updated regularly. Then we have classes that are used to determine the intelligence of students, which is not really a valid point here. And then we have a huge number of exams, which also do not reflect the intelligence of any student. So what can we do to solve this problem? Well, we have to do two things, all right? We have to improve education by using technology. We need to use more of the technology that we have developed so far, and we need to make education more personalized. When I say personalized education, you might say, oh, do we need a school for every student and a group of teachers for every student? No. When we have technology, we can make education personalized. Now, what does personalized mean? There is a concept in biotechnology called personalized medicine. All right, you go to a doctor and the doctor prescribes drugs for you, but these are drugs that everybody uses. They are not personalized according to your own conditions, according to your own medical history, according to your own genetics. And that's why most of the time they don't end up working. And so what researchers are working on is called the personalized medicine, in which it looks into your own personal data and then creates a medicine according to your personal data, which will be more effective. But that will be expensive. So how can we use technology in this case for education to make it more personalized? I'm going to show you this video clip where you can see some of the technologies. Yeah, there are a number of technologies that can be very helpful in improving education: virtual reality, augmented reality, and yeah, you have, I don't know if you've tried the virtual reality headsets, but as you can see, it brings you closer and it provides you more details about what you are learning, whether it's in physics or biology or medicine or surgery. And so technology has been evolving quite a lot lately. We have virtual reality, smart devices like iPads and smartphones, augmented reality, and distance education or online learning. So online learning has been used widely during the pandemic. You have seen most of the classes switched to Zoom calls, just like the one we're having right now. And if we combine these technologies together, we can improve education. The thing about these technologies is that, first of all, they are becoming cheaper and more accessible. And second, they are evolving rapidly. And they are integrating artificial intelligence, which is something that will be really amazing in many decades to come. So if we go back to the problems that we have summarized, all right, we have interest, textbooks, classes, and exams. How can we fix these problems using technology? So in order to make students more interested in what they are learning, we need to create customized content. Okay, think about it. When you open YouTube or Facebook, you see ads, yeah? And these ads are customized according to your own interest. They are tracking data of what you were browsing before, and then they are serving you ads related to what you were browsing. Okay, if you are searching for something about clothes, they will show you ads related to clothes. Okay, and we can use this for improving interest in the education system. For example, if a student is more interested in physics, why should they be distracted by other subjects? We need to show them more content related to physics, more content related to their interest. And this content will narrow down until they become, let's say, more versed in the field that they are studying. And to do this, we can employ artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence will determine what are you reading about more often than the rest, and then will provide you more content related to what you are reading about or what you are searching. And by developing your interest, I mean, basically you improve your passion. I mean, you find your passion about something, and then we use technology to improve on that, which improves as well your performance or academic performance. Then we have the problem with outdated textbooks, right? So let's say you have an iPad specifically created for students. Now it's an iPad that doesn't have distracting apps like TikTok or YouTube or other things, social media that can be distracting to students. It's only filled with educational content. And I think someone needs to mute their okay, there is noise coming from someone who didn't mute. Perhaps the host can mute this person. All right. So, so as I was saying, that imagine if we had an iPad which doesn't have the distracting apps or social media. It's only going to be used for education. And so students will have this. I mean, it could also work with the current technology. You can just adopt it and make some upgrades to it, to the system or the software, so that it will only show educational materials without making the student distracted with other stuff. And this content will be updated regularly. As you know, knowledge continues to evolve. Every day we learn new things, there are new discoveries. And so when this content is moved online, it becomes easy. It becomes easy to adopt this system. A school system would just put in the details into the main hub, and all the students will see the new updates right away. And this way, we don't have to print a lot of textbooks, and we don't have to wait for 4 years before the new textbooks are printed so that we can learn about what has been discovered lately. So we can solve this problem, again, using technology. Then we have classes. And as I say, classes are not really a reflection of anyone's intelligence. So this can be solved through personalized learning. Let's say you have 2 students, all right? Each one of them is browsing content. One is browsing content about biology, and another is browsing content about physics. As they continue to read more, they are developing their interests. We're showing them more personalized content according to their own interests. And so, I mean, this way we don't need classes. What I like about this way is that it will speed up education. It will speed up the performance of students. For example, instead of waiting for 12 years to finish the initial schooling system and then move to the university, you could finish it faster because you are working harder than the others. And so you are treated differently thanks to the use of technology. So what about exams? As I said, exams are a problem, so they have to be replaced. Now, what they could be replaced with is group work. As a student in a university, you might have been part of a group, a group activity, and then you notice that one of the students is doing more work than the other. This is also a problem. But with the help of technology, we can reduce that. So what we're going to do is, to replace exams, we will give students group work and tasks to finish so that they can collaborate together to solve a problem. And we track the amount of collaboration each student is doing. And the reason why this is important is that because it will improve their critical thinking, their analysis skills, communication skills, and teamwork. There are a lot of people these days who have finished universities, but they don't have really critical thinking or analysis skills. When you give them a lot of data, they don't know how to make sense of this data. But if they are part of a group which was selected carefully with people of their who share the same interests, they can work together and develop their critical thinking and analysis skills. As I said, when I mentioned earlier that Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, and Steve Jobs, when they left the universities, what did they do? They went on and joined people who shared the same interest. And so we can group people together if they're sharing the same interests so they can develop their critical thinking and analysis skills together. Another thing that is very important is communication skills. When they are part of a group, they can communicate with each other well, and they can have a teamwork spirit. Two important skills. If you don't have them, you will not succeed in life. Communication skills and teamwork. It will be very difficult, honestly. I mean, you might have some success a little bit, but if you have them, you amplify your success. Um, a lot of people have great ideas, but they don't know how to communicate them. And what happens to these ideas? They die. Nobody hears about them. And that's why if we combine technology, if we group students together based on their interest, give them a task to improve these four skills, then the education system will move dramatically. It will really move forward. So I asked a question again on Facebook in a poll. And the question was, do you fully support integrating technology like artificial intelligence, machine learning, virtual reality, augmented reality, smart devices into education? 70% said yes, we need technology, and 30% prefer the traditional methods. So as you can see, 95% of the people think that the education system in their country needs to be fixed. And 70% think that if we integrate technology, that will probably make it better. And that's where I stand. If we integrate technology into education, it will improve a lot. And with that, I'd like to thank you so much for listening, and I welcome your questions.
Thank you, Dr. Isham, for giving us very enlightening and informative information. You really touches the future of education, and we are kind of agree. These are the things that are happening nowadays. So moving towards the question that, okay, the first question is, will the future education have a positive impact towards the student?
Can you please repeat the question?
Okay, sure, doctor. Will future education have a positive impact towards students?
I mean, the whole idea of improving the future education is that you want to improve the student academic performance and also career goals. There are a lot of students who are still stuck. They don't know what they want to do. And they will keep exploring different options. But if there is a better education system, they will most likely succeed from a few tries instead of having to spend many years trying different things to discover what they really want to do. So yes, it does have a positive impact on students' lives and academic performance if we work on it. As for the current one, I don't think so.
Right, doctor. So the other question that is like, how will the education industry look like in future?
So how the can you please repeat the question?
Yeah,
How
sure.
the
Okay. How will the education industry look like in the future?
as I said, it's going to integrate technologies into education. There are a few schools in some places around the world that have very limited number of students. So instead of having class where you have 50 students, okay, and it becomes very hard to pay attention to every one of them. And sometimes, believe it or not, some teachers don't know the names of all of their students because we're cramped in classes with a lot of people. And then it becomes very hard to know the performance of each one and what each one needs. And it creates a distance between the teacher and the students. And so the future of education means probably no classes. Yeah, no classes, because everything will move online and through technology. It has proven to be effective. And yeah, so there will be no classes. There will be more association with technology, and you will produce students who know what they really want to do.
Okay, great, Doctor. Another question, like as you mentioned, the teamwork and the group of the students will be like having a very good technological idea they can share. So my question will be arises here: what platforms are available for interest-based group learning? Is there any like platforms available?
Honestly, I'm not familiar with any platforms that use this right now. Um, However, if you know your interest, after you have explored a number of options, all the options are available. Okay. Let's say you found out that you're interested in physics or biology or astronomy. There are many websites which you can use to improve your knowledge in that field. Yeah.
Correct.
So I'm not really familiar with any platform that already offers this kind of stuff right away, because most of the platforms that are available, and the ones that I know about at least, they have an education system or an online system which is already predetermined. The courses are already fixed, the lessons and so they're not really personalized, and you have to find your interest by yourself first, and then you go visit which one of them, depending
Okay,
on what you
great.
like. Yeah.
Great. Okay, since Doctor, we are having a session on future of education. Like, how do you implement the future of education on rural areas where we have the internet, like distractions and all? How we can
Mm,
improve that?
mm. Uh, well, I mean, the example of the cell phone, right? When it came out for the first time, it was limited to rich people, right? It was limited to only a small group of people who had access to that technology. And now it's available everywhere. And while the internet still remains expensive, uh, there is some work that is being done to improve internet quality. I mean, just think about it. There is this new initiative with Elon Musk. It's called Starlink Internet. It seems that, I mean, when it was first advertised, they said it will be free. Now they're saying that they want some payment for it. But let's assume that it was free. Okay. Satellite internet, providing internet to places where it's not accessible, then this could be a game changer. However, until something like this happens, rural areas would have to rely on traditional methods. One thing that I want to say is that, let's assume that students in rural areas have access to iPads, which do not have internet. Okay. Then you have a school system, which is the one responsible for maintaining a software that sends the data to students. So students would come like every week, say, hey, I'd like to refresh my iPad with new information. You just need one person who's responsible for the main system, and they will just upgrade the iPads with new information, new details. And yeah, you don't need to have internet in that case. So it could work.
Great. Okay, okay. Another question. Will online teaching continue until the end of this year? And how do you think that this new norm is going to affect the education in the future?
Well, I mean, if you have seen, it's already affecting work. In Germany, here, for example, they are working on a new law that allows people to work from home if they want it. Yeah, your boss cannot force you to go to work if you really want to work from home. It becomes your right. And a lot of companies have seen that there is productivity in working from home. So schools will be like, okay, well, it's working. Students' probably academic performance has improved. Until the pandemic is over, we are going to rely heavily on online education. But for the long term, there will be a lot of studies that will and surveys that will ask students, how was your experience with with online education? If the outcome is positive, then many changes will be made, and it will probably become a standard way of teaching.
Okay, great. Another question, Doctor, like for example, we are moving towards the world that is totally digitalized. So does this digitalization make a student more lonely and have impact on their like mind or personality?
Absolutely. I mean, we do need to interact with each other. And when I said group work, I didn't mean that they have to work together, everyone from their own computer, and not meet. Yeah. But as you know, at the current stage, it's very difficult to meet. Yeah. Also, it's very difficult. Sometimes you also need personal guidance from a teacher, from a human. We don't want to say, oh, let's move everything digital and completely eliminate the human factor. You will still need humans, because we're emotional beings, and sometimes we face difficulties in which only emotional responses can calm us down. I mean, I have this myself. There was a time in which uh, when I transitioned from Pakistan to Germany, it was really difficult time, because the education system in Germany was far more superior, and you are expected to not only know theoretically a lot of things, you're also expected to work in the lab right away. You're expected to know a lot of skills, which was very difficult at the start. So I needed some personal guidance, I needed some assistance, and this help came from professors and students who were working in the lab as well. So we will always need this personal connection with other humans. If everything is digital, it's going to affect our mental health. It's going to affect our academic performance in general.
Great. Okay, Doctor, from my side, I was having the questions, so I have already done. So I will ask our co-host, Ida, to continue the session with the questions that are being asked from the public. Ida, over to you now.
Okay, there got some question on the chat. So the first one, you are speaking about upgrading education for future generation. Is this limited for developed countries who have the ability to implement such ideas?
I'm actually having a difficult time hearing you. Maybe you can, yeah, it's really not clear.
The question is this limited for developed countries who have the ability to implement such ideas?
All right, so you mean, is it possible for developing countries to have such system? Huh? Is this a question?
Okay, yes. Okay,
Yeah, well,
the next question.
yeah, so the question which you asked was it, is it possible for developing countries to have such system? Right?
Yes, yes.
Yes, so the answer is yes, of course. I mean, as we were talking, it's a system that can be implemented easily, and it could become universal, and access to technology has become possible. It's feasible now. Everyone has cell phone. You can even, do it with a cell phone, not necessarily an iPad. Smartphones are as abundant as salt, basically, and they're becoming cheaper and cheaper. So we can have a software that can upgrade the phones and turn them into tools that can be used for education, and this can help spread the idea to developing countries as well.
Okay, I see. Right. Okay, thank you. Okay, for the next question, how could education system improve if it just prepares students to industry and the industry doesn't improve enough?
I'm really having a little bit of problem with the with the audio. I think your mic is a little bit low volume.
Oh, okay. Is it clear now? Hello? Is it clear?
Dr. Hisham, if you didn't mind, you can answer the questions in chat. Thank you.
Speak.
Okay. Well, it would help to moderate it right away. So let's see a question from Ibrahim. You were speaking of upgrading education for future generations. Is this limited for developed countries who have the, we just answered this question. Next question. How could education system improve if it's just prepare student to industry and the industry didn't improve enough? Well, that's actually good. In fact, it is improving. Yeah. One thing you need to know is that a lot of jobs are dying. And I'm surprised to know that they are still teaching these things in developing countries. Okay. For example, let's take this example. They are still teaching in Yemen petroleums. Yeah. And engineering fields related to fossil fuels. When in reality, the world is slowly moving into renewable energy, solar power, wind power, nuclear energy. So these are the future that we need to focus on. And so then there is also another example. So as I said, energy is one example. Then you have got programming, okay? There isn't a lot of attention being paid to programming and computer science. For example, in Germany, there is a massive need for people who can program stuff, yeah, who have experience with computer science, because the future of robotics, the future of automation, they all depend on the modern fields. So these fields are changing, the industry is changing, and it's important for us to continue to adapt to these changes, and this can only be facilitated by improving the education system. Okay.
Okay, Doctor, let me help you to read the question.
Yes, please.
Right. Okay, so the question from Abdullah Murad is, how could the education system improve if it's just prepared student to industry and the industry didn't improve enough?
This is the question that I just answered.
Okay, so next question is from, all right. Do you think integrated learning is a realistic, achievable goal in the near future, provided in a contemporary global situation?
What do you mean by integrated learning? This is the question here.
Yeah, that is a question, integrated.
Yeah,
I think you already defined before.
Yeah, it needs to be defined. What kind of integrated learning? Probably this person means that we combine traditional learning with modern learning. I guess it can help, but we can use this as a transition from current education systems to future education systems. But to rely on both at once, I think it's going to be a challenge. Okay, next question.
I'm sorry, Doctor, can I ask you a question?
Please.
Can you hear me clear?
Yes, I can.
I'm sorry, I was just wondering because you just mentioned that
well, you were muted. I can't hear you anymore. Perhaps you can unmute and ask the question again.
She is muted by organizer, I think.
I'm sorry, I'm here.
All
okay,
right,
so I'm sorry. Yeah, so in terms of like, for example, for primary and for elementary students, we still need like face-to-face classes.
Yeah, so you're saying for elementary and primary students, we need face-to-face because they are at the first stage, right?
It's not online, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
of course. I mean, definitely. They are at the very first stage, but we can combine both. Yeah. We can combine both by providing them technology and also have instructors who are going to be there face-to-face to help them with their problems. But the instructor will slowly reduce communication with the student so that they start depending on themselves as they proceed to further stages. But you're right.
Thank you so much.
We would need
Thank you.
instructors at first. Great question. Okay, next question.
Hello,
Vicky.
Dr. Hisham.
Yeah.
Sorry for interruption. Thank you for this lovely session. If you don't mind, my question is a little bit beyond the topic, if you don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you keep yourself updated with all this new technology and knowledge and information? What sources do you use, and how do you keep yourself updated? Because from your videos, we can see that it contains all the updated technology and science and so on. And I think reading research papers will take a long time. So I don't think that you are using this method. So
well, not always, actually. Not always. Here's the thing. Every time there is a new breakthrough, normally universities release something called a press kit or a press release. Okay. And so the press release from a number of universities are gathered by different websites. Yeah. So these are announcements of different breakthroughs that universities are publishing, and they are curated or gathered in a few websites. And I have a number of websites that I visit every day to read these press releases. Now, if there is a press release that is interesting, it's always combined with the research paper. So this means you can read the research paper. It's not like I go to the primary source of information, which is PubMed, and read all the papers and scan them no, that's a lot of work. So first you get the abstract idea from the press release, and then you read more about that. If it is interesting, then I share it. But yeah, there are a number of sources that I visit every day and I read. So if you read a lot, of course, you will learn about the latest technologies and yeah, on daily basis.
Okay, doctor. There is another question from the audience that she is Aruj Khalid. She said that, don't you think the e-learning system will be more vulnerable in losing the data or stealing the data? So like, what will be the security, data security wise?
It could be two ways. All right, let's say selling data, okay? Say there is a company that works in programming. Okay, they are developing apps. They're also working in robotics, and they want people who are really good with programming. You go to a school and you say, we want you to, or like a whole province or a whole country, and you say, let's narrow down the list to the most or the top performance, or the students with the top academic performance through the system, through the app. You have all the data you need, and you're narrowing down the list. So in the future, jobs could be done in such a way, you know, instead of you applying, they will just go to the system, they will look into the data, and they will narrow down the list, and they will call you for an interview. Say, hey, we noticed through the system and your data that you are an excellent student at the following stuff. So we'd like to recruit you to our company, but first you have to pass an interview. This is a positive application of such system, right? Now, you could also use this data to improve the system itself by learning what students are reading more, what students are ignoring more, what they don't want. So you are, it's like a self-evolving system. It's like a self-aware. We're not talking about a system that will start a revolution against humans. As for misuse of such data, that is also possible. But in the end, it's technology. We're using Zoom now. All our data are there, right? We're using technology. We're using gadgets. Every one of us has a smartphone. If we keep being scared of misuse of data and all that stuff, we should just throw technology aside and get back to the Stone Age. It's always important to use technology and realize at the same time that it has benefits and also disadvantages. If you keep being scared about data and all that stuff, then don't use it. And I can tell you, you will not have data to be afraid of. Yeah, to be concerned about.
Correct. Okay. Now I will ask Fayad to come on the board, and I think you want to ask something, Mr. Fayad.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Hashim. I have, do you hear me guys clearly?
Yes, very
Absolutely.
clear.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, while we're talking about future education, our current educations are very bad actually. But I mean, as
I agree.
as university students, I mean, we need to have like a match between our goals in the future and our education. Or also, we need to care about the employment, because when we think about the future education, that's mean we need to think about the employment rate and how many people can be unemployed. So how can we develop ourselves as university students from now related to the technology? We cannot find this technology everywhere. Maybe when we're talking about the Middle East, the situation there is very bad. So how the students can keep up with what they have to might get something to develop them in the future, and they can secure something in the future, because the future is mystery and is frightening us. Thank you so much.
Great question. So maybe this system that I was talking about is still a bit far-fetched. It's not going to be implemented anytime soon. So you will need to find solutions from now until something like this is ready. And by the time it's ready, you should already be prepared for, achieving your career goals. So what you can do, and this was part of a study, okay? Some people are trying to find their passion, just like, oh, I love this thing. And they think that they love doing that stuff. While some others, instead, they try different things and then they discover their passion. Okay? And when they find what their passion is, then they continue to improve on that thing. And this was, by the way, verified by a study. And instead of finding it, try to discover it. So try different things. All right? You don't have to wait for technology to come to the same level that I described in this session. However, you have access to the internet. You have access to all sort of information that you need. Why don't you read more? Read about the things. Create a list of the things that you love doing, and then try them one by one. See which one lines up with what you like, the most, and then go for that one. Continue improving your skills and talents in that field or that regard. The technologies for that are available already. It's just a matter of motivation and hard work and also patience. So try different things, and then you can prepare yourself for the job market if that's also your goal.
Okay, doctor, there is another question. Is it possible that a student will be able to study full-time online and the country will not need to build schools and investing a lot of money on their educational funds in construction and infrastructure? If yes, that what are the thoughts on applying such educational tech methods?
Yeah, there was a recent article that some students in the US are protesting the online education because they're attending classes online, but they also have to pay high amounts of fees. And as you know, fees in the US and the UK. They are really expensive. So if you're going to continue paying the same amount of fees, while also, there is some people think online education is a downgrade, then it doesn't make sense, right? However, this can be solved because you're having the same system. Okay, you create a course and it's there online, and students just have to access that. In comparison, you need to have a teacher who would have to come every day, every year. Yeah, that's a lot of work. That's also a lot of payment. So when you are creating a system which is fixed, but also being updated regularly, and it can be accessed by a lot of people, that's much cheaper. Here's the thing. When I was at the university doing my bachelor's, we needed to buy a lot of textbooks. It was in Pakistan. Textbooks are generally cheaper, but still, I was really more interested in PDF files. They are also cheap. Some of them are actually free. You can download them right away. And so I was really relying on electronic books, and that did reduce the cost of how much I needed to pay. So yeah, the resources are available. It's just how you want to use them.
Okay, great. Doctor, there is another question. It's maybe very general or can be very good if I came to know with this. For example, if I said the current education system, like they are like leading with the student learning and all, they are trying to find still the methods to improve the education system, like face-to-face activities and all. But since we got involved in the online learning education and all, there is a little pressure, a lot of assignments and all. Like the way you say that textbook kind, also like they are not like they are spending a lot of money to revise the courses every year. There is a printing cost and everything. So will the robots have the future in leading the education in future?
Well, like, you have a robot that comes to the house and teach you. Well, I mean, a robot is a relative term, okay? It could also mean a software, a bot,
Correct.
which is self-learning in its way. So something that learns about the student and provides insights in the very, very distant future. We're not talking about anytime soon. These online tools will provide you feedback on your performance. They will analyze your performance and they will provide you feedback very much like a human teacher. Yeah. They will have a big role as artificial intelligence continues to develop. Eventually, these bots, we're not talking about robots right now, but bots, which are basically online tools which you create through programming languages, they will have a major impact in how we analyze students, how we analyze their academic performance, and what kind of feedback each student requires. So they will have a big role.
Okay, great. Right. I think that's all from my side. So I will ask Miss Ida to go for the closing remarks. Miss Ida, can you please continue with the? Okay, there is one question from the public. Loai Sherry. Yeah, please, you can unmute the mic and you can ask since we have a little time.
All right. Can you hear me properly?
Yes.
All right. First of all, I would like to thank you, Dr. Hashim, for this interesting and informative session. Actually, my question is that we noticed that you're having a huge audience, mashallah, on your Facebook page. So would you mind if you can share with us some tips on how you managed to get this successful Facebook page and you grab all these audience? Thank you.
Okay. Well, thanks for the question.
You're welcome.
It's a good question. Okay, so first of all, you really need to find your passion. Okay, what kind of content would you like to offer to the public? If you are into art and your specific art is digital art, for example, then you can provide them content in that sector. If you are into politics or economy or business or science, you first need to find your passion. Everything else is the byproduct of the thing that you love. Because after some time, you would probably feel burned out and it becomes boring. If your goal is something else, oh, I want to become, I want to have a lot of followers to make more money. And then after some time you make the money that you want, then you feel burned out. You need to follow something that you're interested in and provide that or share that interest with the people. Then one thing that social media focuses on right now is videos. If I was focusing on publishing pictures only, I wouldn't have reached to that audience. In fact, if you focus on posting video content, the audience will continue to grow. There is a report that by the year 2022, 80% of the traffic on the internet will just be coming from videos. Think about it. People are moving towards video content. So you need to create more and more and more videos, and not just any videos. You need to take care of the content quality, make sure that it's the right length, it's the right material, and ask yourself, is this something that I would watch and share with my friends? So by focusing on videos, there was a massive growth in my audience. As I said, this is something that would not have been achieved if it was just articles and links and images. Then you have partnerships. Yeah. There will be people who are working in the same field. So, try to form collaborations and partnerships so that you can work on content together. They can publish your content. You gain some of their audience and followers, and they also gain some of your audience and followers. And this helps in the growth. So these are the main tips on how you can get to achieve high number of followers. But the most important thing is start. It's always the first step.
Great.
And the toughest.
Okay, Doctor,
Yeah.
there is one question from Abdullah Faisal. Okay, Abdullah Faisal, you can please unmute your mic and you can ask the question.
Okay, thank you, Doctor, for a good presentation. And I'd like to ask about research. The research in Middle East country and South Asia is still in the surface, or it's not reached the commercial step. From your experience, how can we improve the research in these countries to be competitive with the European and with the other countries, with the developed countries? Thank you.
That's a tough one. Research is not just about human resources. Yeah, it's also about having the right tools. Here, for example, they have the latest technologies, and students, regardless of their level, PhD, masters, or even bachelors, they are allowed to use these machines for research. However, if we're talking about theoretical research, which relies on collecting data and analyzing data, then that can be achieved by looking at how it's done here and then trying to replicate the same methods if it is theoretical. But if it involves machinery, then that is going to be difficult. It is very expensive to really buy these kinds of machines, and machines alone are not enough. You also need to maintain these machines. You also need to buy, let's say if you're working in biology or physics, or then there are a lot of chemicals and what have you, all the extra things. What are you studying, by the way? What are you working on?
I am actually on civil engineering. I am studying on bioconcrete, using bacteria inside concrete to absorb CO2 from atmosphere.
Great. So I believe you use bacterial growth, petri dishes, and
the self-healing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, as I said, there will always be a need for the latest technologies to reach to a competitive level that is comparable to the one that you find here. I would say study hard, work hard on your project, and try to get to places like here. And then if you want, you can either deliver your skills and talents back to where you want, or you can stay here. That's all I can say. but without machinery,
Actually,
really tough.
I already finished my PhD. I'm asking about the system of research. If advice for universities and for the countries, advice for the universities to improve this matter, because
Well, if they want, I mean,
research
they are.
is repeated.
Yeah.
I only change the parameters.
No, that's not enough. Here's what they do. They always have like visiting students. Okay, a university that doesn't have a certain machine, they will send their students to their partners from another university. It could be another country, and they go to use the machines there, and then they collect all the data they want, and they come back. So what you can do is try to search for fellowships or scholarships that can allow you to travel to other countries, at least for the period of collecting data in a certain location, and then take this data with you. When you return, you can analyze all the data that you have collected, and you will get very much the same comparable level, yeah, because you're using the same tools that a developed nation is using. Yeah, I hope that helps.
Thank you, Doctor.
Okay, Doctor, one more last question now, since we are running out of time. Since the education system, like in person, needs some evolution, every year they have to go for the accreditation for their renewal basis on the laboratory checks and everything. So do you think that this system is like helping really a lot to refine the education or improving the labs, something like that? So what is your opinion on that?
You mean the system that was proposed here would help with?
Yeah, with a survey or something like the student interaction with the evaluators. Does
As
it
I
really
said,
going to work?
it's not a total replacement for human interaction. Yeah, it's just an upgrade for the current education system. At some point, you still need human interaction. Even now, during the pandemic, a lot of students who are working in the lab, they still have to go to the lab. Yeah, they can't leave their experiments and just stay home, continue receiving classes and information. They still have to go to the lab, do their experiments at least 3 times a week or 2 times a week. Yeah. So I would say that both of these will be complementary to each other. You upgrade the education system on one hand, but also interaction would have to exist. Yeah. Especially for those who have to go to labs and work to collect some data.
Correct. Okay, Najam wants to ask something. Yes, Najam, please unmute your mic. So this is going to be the last question from the audience. From the audience.
Yeah.
First of all, I would like to thank GSA and the organizer for this super program that sharing by our Yemeni guy, he's from my hometown. Thank you so much, Dr. Hashim. And I really happy to see you. Actually, I have a questions. Since Dr. Abdullah just mentioned about the research in the Middle East or South Asian or especially in Yemen, let's make it in Yemen and in the Arabian country. So actually now, Dr. Hisham, you said they can collect the data and they can start to do their research. However, from my experience here, most of the research without experimental work, they just use a fake data. And the audience, the respondents that you are sending the questionnaire to them is really not honest to answer your questions. That's why you will not get the real answer and you will not provide any good output for the worldwide.
Well, look,
my question is how we can make sure if the data is correct, the data that you get from the audience of the respondents is right or not?
You're talking about surveys in general.
Yes,
right?
Exactly. Yep.
That some audience cannot be authentic and they don't tell the truth.
Yeah, since one of your suggestions.
I think it's very clear that the more people you have in the sample,
okay,
the greater the chances of reducing the error. Yeah, you're reducing the margin of error by increasing the population size. Let's say 500 people responded to a question in a survey, okay? And you're still questioning their answer, that why did they choose A instead of B, okay? So if you really want to confirm, the best way is to increase the sample size. And instead of asking only 500, you ask 1,000 or 2,000, because now the majority will tell you what is your answer. But yeah, in the end, as a researcher, you are supposed to trust the data that you collected to a certain extent, but also present it to other experts to comment on it. Yeah, they could tell you, especially if they are working in the same field. It helps to present your data to other people who have been working in the field. They say, hey, we have had this question. Either we received the same answer or not. You also need to compare your data to other people's outcomes, what they published. There are many ways by which you could reduce the margin of error and confirm that the data you have collected are true and authentic. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Doctor.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, now I will ask Ida to take over the session for the closing ceremony. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Vicky. Okay. Dear all, we have come to the end of this talk session. I do hope this gathering will be fruitful sharing session with full of informative input for all of us. So once again, on behalf of the GSA, we want to thank Dr. Hashim for the great talk and all the participants. So we appreciate you for taking time from your busy schedule to join us today. We hope all the participants learn a lot from this session, and sorry for any inconvenience issues during the session. So
Thank you for having me, and I appreciate it, and I appreciate all the amazing questions that we have received as well.
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much. So so I will end here. So next time, and thank you all. Thank you, Dr. Hashim.
Thank you so much.
And good night from Malaysia.
Thank you. Stay
All
safe,
right.
everybody.
Yeah,
Stay
yeah, you
safe.
too. Stay safe, everyone. Bye.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, GSF, for this program. Good night.
خاطركم
Thank you, guys.